Okay, so today we're diving into something that, honestly, it's been rattling around the tech community quite a bit. A question that might just flip how you think about software development.
Hmm.
What if? What if all these amazing AI coding tools we have now, ChatGPT, Copilot, Claude, a whole lot, what if they're actually solving the wrong problem?
It's a pretty wild thought, isn't it? I mean, for ages, the big push was always faster coding, faster coding. But if speed wasn't really the main bottleneck in actually shipping software, well, then you get this paradox. These super fast tools might counterintuitively be slowing some teams down.
Exactly. That paradox is kind of the mystery we want to unpack today. Welcome, everyone, to the deep dive. We're really glad you're here as we dig into why those huge productivity promises from AI coding, well, why they aren't quite landing the way people thought they would. A lot of our discussion today is sparked by this really interesting peacemaking waves over in the Korean tech scene, but honestly, the issues, they feel pretty universal, global, really.
Yeah, they definitely resonate. And our goal here by the end of this is for you to have a much sharper picture of what the real holdups are in software development. And also maybe see how some successful teams are, thinking differently about these AI tools, using them smarter. Think of this as a bit of a shortcut maybe to getting up to speed on a really critical shift that's happening right now.
Okay, so let's rewind a bit because that initial vision, it was powerful. Still is for many people. The promise of AI in coding felt, I don't know, almost sci-fi. The basic idea, AI writes the code,
Yeah.
simple, developers get freed up for the important stuff, whatever that is, and boom, teams ship features, like 10x faster. And we saw things that look like proof, right? Copilot finishing your thoughts, Chat GPT spitting out whole scripts, even tools claiming to build entire apps.
And, to be fair, on an individual level, that speed did kind of materialize. I've seen it myself. Junior developers using these tools can churn out what looks like a massive amount of code, stuff that might have taken days or weeks before, done in like a day. The speed itself is undeniably impressive. It's easy to get swept up in that.
For sure, that individual speed is there. But here's the twist, the sort of surprising thing people are noticing now. Experienced devs, managers, they're starting to say, hang on, my team isn't actually moving faster. Some are even saying, we feel slower. It really makes you pause. What's actually happening?
Yeah, people are starting to call it effort inversion. It's a pretty good term for it. You've got maybe junior folks generating huge volumes of code really fast, feels effortless. But then the effort shifts. Your senior developers, your leads, they're spending way more time reviewing it, debugging it, cleaning it up. It's like the hard work just moves somewhere else in the process. Somewhere more expensive, arguably.
I heard this great quote from a mentor recently. Sums it up perfectly. They said, my interns can produce a week's worth of code in a day now, which is amazing. But my job just got harder, not easier.
Mm.
And you hear variations of that a lot. So, okay, if individuals are faster, why aren't teams? It suggests we maybe fundamentally misunderstood where the real slowdowns were all along.
That's really the core argument, isn't it? That writing the code, the actual typing part, maybe that was never the slowest bit. I mean, just think about your own work, your own projects. How much time is actually spent fingers on keyboard writing new code?
Yeah, it's a good exercise.
Yeah.
Versus what? Waiting for that PR review,
Mm.
chasing down that weird bug that only happens on Tuesday,
All right.
sitting in planning meetings, explaining your approach for the third time, trying to decipher someone else's code from 6 months ago,
Mm-hmm.
testing, fixing edge cases. Yeah, when did you last think, man, if I could just type faster? Probably never.
Exactly. And there's research supporting this. It's pretty striking, actually. Developers, on average, spend something like 10 times more time reading code, trying to understand it, than actually writing new code. And that's key, because the current AI tools, great at writing, not so much at helping with the reading and understanding part. If anything, they might make the reading harder by adding volume or code that the author doesn't fully grasp.
Okay, so if typing isn't the bottleneck, let's break it down. Where does the time go on a software team? What are the real-time sinks based on what we're seeing?
Right, let's list them out. First, big one, maybe the biggest, code reviews. Everyone complains about this. That complex pull request, the proposed changes, it can just sit there for days, sometimes weeks, waiting for someone with enough context and time to actually review it properly, then back and forth with feedback. It consumes enormous amounts of senior dev time.
Makes sense. Then there's knowledge transfer, the
Mm.
stuff that's not code.
Yeah, totally. Explaining why a decision was made, getting a new person up to speed on a messy old system, documenting the tribal knowledge before someone leaves. It's often invisible work, but it's crucial. Teams stall without it.
And then the classic,
Mhm.
debugging.
Oh, yeah. Not just fixing typos, it's the hunt for that bizarre intermittent bug, the one that only shows up in production under weird circumstances, that can just eat days, weeks sometimes, of your best people's time.
Right. And finally, integration and testing, making sure the new stuff plays nice with the old stuff.
Exactly. Does it fit? Does it break anything downstream? Especially as systems get more complex, that takes real effort.
So here's the paradox again. AI makes code generation almost free, speed-wise,
Right.
but actually increases the cost and time spent on these other things, the reviews, the debugging, the understanding.
Precisely. The burden shifts. We optimized the part that maybe wasn't the biggest problem and inadvertently made the actual bottlenecks worse.
Let's make that concrete. Say a junior dev uses AI, submits a 500-line function, looks great, passes tests, but the reviewer, what's on their plate now?
Oh, man. Okay. They have to first understand this code they didn't write. Did the AI handle all the edge cases? Does it follow our team's patterns? Is it maintainable long term? And maybe the biggest question, does the person who submitted this actually understand it well enough to fix it later? Or do they just trust the AI?
It reminds me of that analogy, like having a super fast printer.
Yeah.
It prints a 500-page document instantly. Amazing speed. But now you spend 3 times longer proofreading because you can't fully trust it wasn't just auto-generated nonsense.
That's a great analogy. The printing speed became irrelevant. The real work shifted to verification, to building trust in the output. That takes way longer.
Yeah, it nails it. And that brings us to what feels like the absolute core of the issue here. Let's call it the trust and understanding crisis.
Yeah, I think that's right. Because fundamentally, building software isn't just about code. It's about people working together. When you submit code, you're communicating. Your intent, your reasoning, the trade-offs you made, it builds shared understanding. That's crucial.
But the problem now, the dilemma, is that people are submitting code, they don't fully get it themselves. I heard this story from a senior dev. It was so telling. Asked a junior dev about their code, why this approach?
Yeah.
And the answer was just blunt honesty. I don't know. ChatGPT suggested it.
Wow. Yeah.
That's a breakdown in that communication, in that shared understanding. The human context is just gone.
And that creates this black box problem. The code might work today. It might even look clean. But if the person who put it there doesn't deeply understand the why, the assumptions, the potential side effects, then you're in trouble later. For maintenance, for debugging when it breaks unexpectedly, for making changes safely, for bringing new people onto the team, that lost context is a killer.
So the more of this black box AI code gets into the system,
the higher the maintenance burden becomes for everyone. It's like accumulating technical debt, but faster and maybe sneakier. And eventually, someone, probably your most senior folks, has to pay it back.
So how are teams dealing with this? The smart ones, anyway. Are they just banning AI?
Not usually, no. We're seeing new rules emerge, though. Pretty common sense, actually. Like a rule saying if you submit AI-generated code, you need to be able to explain every single line during the review, as if you wrote it yourself. It boils down to a simple, maybe harsh truth. If you can't explain it, you probably shouldn't be merging it into production. Doesn't matter how it got written.
Okay, so let's be clear. We're not saying AI coding tools are bad or useless. Far from it.
Absolutely not. They're incredibly powerful.
But using them effectively seems to require a different approach. A smarter one, more human aware.
Exactly. The best teams aren't avoiding AI. They're figuring out how to leverage it wisely. They get its strengths, but they also respect its weaknesses, especially in a team context. We can actually see about 3 main ways they're doing this effectively.
Okay, what's the first one?
First, prototyping and exploration. AI is fantastic for this. Want to quickly try out an idea? Build a fast proof of concept. Explore different ways to tackle something before you commit to production quality. AI is amazing there.
So you use it for inspiration, maybe scaffolding, but then the real build is done by humans who understand it.
Precisely. You avoid the black box problem later on because the final code is built with human understanding.
Okay, smart. What's the second way?
Second, automating tedious tasks. This is a perfect fit. Generating boilerplate code that's always the same. Writing simple, repetitive unit tests, converting data between formats, repetitive refactoring. These are tasks where deep understanding of how the code was generated is less critical. It's usually easy to verify the output, and the risk is lower.
Right. Takes a grunt workout without adding too much cognitive load for review. Makes sense. And the third?
Third, using AI for learning and documentation. This is huge. AI can be an amazing tutor. Ask it to explain a complex of improving your code and why. Help junior developers understand tricky concepts or new libraries faster. It's about using AI to boost human understanding, not replace it.
So prototype, automate the tedious stuff, and use it to learn. That feels like a solid framework.
Yeah, and just as important is what these smart teams are not doing. They're not using AI for critical core business logic without intense human scrutiny and full author understanding. They're not letting junior devs merge AI code they can't explain inside and out because of that trust crisis we talked about. And crucially, they're not falling into the trap of thinking faster code writing automatically means faster delivery. They know the real bottlenecks are elsewhere.
Okay, so let's bring it home with some advice. If you're a junior developer listening, what's the takeaway?
Use AI to learn aggressively. Don't see it as a shortcut around learning. Make the AI explain itself. Ask why it suggests something. Dig into the trade-offs. Force yourself to understand it deeply. That's how you build real, lasting skills and knowledge. The stuff that makes you valuable, not just someone who can prompt an AI.
And for the seniors, the managers.
Put up some guardrails. Maybe that explain every line rule for AI code. Shift code reviews. Focus less on just does it work and more on do we understand this? What are the long-term costs? And please, measure team success by features shipped, by value delivered to users, not by lines of code. Lines of code is often just noise. Value is signal.
So the future isn't just about speed then. It's about building better together, understand each other, trusting the code.
I think that's exactly it. Building better software collaboratively with shared understanding and trust as the foundation, that feels like the real goal.
This has been fascinating. And honestly, I think this conversation is just starting in a lot of teams. We'd really love to hear your thoughts. Has this deep dive shifted your perspective on AI coding tools at all? How is your team navigating this? Let us know.
Yeah, definitely. And if you found this useful, maybe share it with your team or colleagues. These are important discussions we all need to be having as AI becomes more integrated into how we work.
Absolutely.
Ah.
Until next time, here's that thought to chew on. The goal isn't just writing code faster, it's building better software together.